They say you've only got 10 seconds to grab a viewer's attention. Well, I'm not smart enough to think of a clever intro, so this'll have to do. I'm so sorry. So, who is Morgana and what should I know about her? Well, Morgana's mostly played AP mid or support, and she's one of the more annoying champions in the game. She isn't OP and won't one-shot you when she's fed, but her kit is super annoying. She has an easy time farming, quite a bit of sustain, and her kit is super useful in teamfights, thanks to her AoE damage and CC. However, she's reliant upon hitting abilities, which requires some skill, isn't the best choice as an AP carry, and doesn't have a fantastic late game. This makes her more of a supportive character, which is why I prefer playing her as a support. In her kit, she has a passive that gives her lifesteal and abilities, a root with a brokenly big hitbox, long range and massive amounts of damage, an 8 spot that she throws on the ground that deals damage over time, a shield that protects from magic damage while also becoming immune to all CC for as long as the shield lasts, and an AoE ult that instantly deals damage to enemy champions and also stuns. But that's enough chit chat, let's get straight into her abilities, starting with her passive. Morgana's passive is called Soul Siphon, and what it does is it gives you bonus spell vamp. At level 1 it gives 10%, level 7 it gives 15%, and at level 13 it gives 20% bonus spell vamp. In case you don't know what spell vamp is, it's basically lifesteal that only works on abilities, but not on all abilities, all active champion abilities that do not modify basic attacks or apply on-hit effects. You know what, I'll just tell you when I cover the rest of the spells if it applies. Let's just see if we can grab a quick kill here. Oh, whoops, don't mind me, guys. Just passing through. Yeah, go red team, go get that Katarina. Can't believe they fell for it. Morgana's Q is called Dog Binding, and if you've ever played against her, you'll know it. It's the one that does a fuck ton of damage in the laning phase, and makes you angry because of its broken as fuck hitbox. You know, the one that makes you say, Rito, please fix. Well, anyhow, it's a skill shot that deals damage and temporarily roots the enemy hit. At max level it costs 70 mana, has an 11-second cooldown, does 300 plus 90% AP damage, roots for a duration of 3 seconds, and has a range of 1175, which is this big. It's quite simple, really. It hits all enemies, so minions, buffs, enemy champions, it hits them all. It has a ridiculously long range, brokenly big hitbox, and it travels at a decent pace, so it's very simple to land. Spell Vamp is also fully applied on this ability. For some reason people always assume I'm German, just because my name is Adolf Fleiper. I don't know how they could make such a connection. So my standard response is always, I am not German nor have I ever felt like a Germ. I hope this answers all your questions. Morgana's W is called Tormented Soil, and what it does is you throw down an AoE spell that makes the ground look like AIDS and does damage over time. But the math is more complicated than you might expect. At max level it costs 130 mana, has a 10-second cooldown, and this is where it's gonna get complicated. It's explained rather poorly, but every half a second, a minimum of 40 plus 11% AP damage will be done, and for every 1% of the target's missing health, both the flat damage and the AP scaling is increased by 0.5%. It's all rather complicated, so I'll simplify it. The lower HP your target is, the more damage it'll do. Your damage varies in between 40 plus 11% AP and 60 plus 16.5% AP magic damage every half a second. The pool itself lasts for 5 seconds, has a cast range of 900, and the pool is 275, which I will now demonstrate. For this ability, Spell Vamp is also fully applied. Not that it's relevant in any way, shape or form, but I had a match where I went 37-0, and I didn't get an S. 44,000 damage, that's not nearly enough. Come on Viper, what are you, fucking gay? Morgana's E is called Black Shield, and what it does is it gives a shield to either yourself or a friendly champion that absorbs magic damage, and while the shield lasts also makes the target immune to CC. At max level it costs 55 mana, has a 15-second cooldown, shields for 350 plus 70% AP magic damage, and has a cast range of 800, which is this big. This ability is extremely good when used correctly, but I'm gonna be honest here, I'm always either too late or I just forget about it entirely. But what you optimally should be doing is paying attention to when the enemy is about to stun you or a friendly champion, and then shields to neutralize their SCC. Morgana's ult is called Soul Shackles. On activation, Morgana creates a zone and latches chains onto nearby enemies, dealing magic damage and slowing them. Enemies can then walk out of this zone and the chains will detach. If they are still chained after 3 seconds, they get stunned for 1.5 seconds and get dealt damage again. At max level it costs 100 mana, has a 100-second cooldown, does 300 plus 70% AP damage both initially and is still chained after 3 seconds, slows by 20% and has a range of 1050, which is this big. Something to keep in mind is that your chains will only latch onto enemies you have sight over. You can't shackle what you can't see. However, once your shackles have latched onto your enemies, you will gain true sight of them. Spell Vamp is applied but reduced to 1/3 effectiveness. Anyhow, the summoner spells are also pretty simple. You always want to pick Flash. If you're playing support, you can either pick Exhaust, pretty obvious why, or Ignite if you want to be a kill-stealing bitch. If you're playing mid, you just want to take Ignite. Some strategies and combos on Morgana are the obvious QW to deal some quick damage. A more advanced one would be buying Zonias and ult Zoniasing in the middle of the enemy team, possibly using Flash to turn a teamfight in your favor. I don't have footage to show you, and I don't feel like recording. Well, what, you gonna do something about it? Fucking sue me. The enemies will try to hide from your snare behind their minions. So, a good tip would be to use your W to force them out, giving you the opportunity to land your Q. Hey, I said giving you the opportunity to land your Q. I can't because I'm a fucking retard. So I don't want to see any of those snarky comments saying you can't even land your Q. Please don't hurt my feelings. Speaking of W, you can use your W to zone the enemies out, forcing them to take a different path or to take some damage. And also, if you're support, always use the bushes to your advantage. But now onto the leveling order. First, unlock your Q, then W and then E, max out your Q first, then W and then E, and obviously ult whenever it's possible. Like I mentioned, I mostly play Morgana support, so this is what I built. Start with Spell Thief's Edge, Potions, Ward. On your first back buy Sidestone and Sweeping Lens. From here you can go into a bunch of different directions. You can build Frost Queen's Claim and Ruby Sidestone, or combine both items into Eye of the Watchers, freeing up another item slot. Redemption is always a good pick. If you want something offensive, you can get Moroni Mini Mini Minomicon, Ryla's Crystal Scepter or Abyssal Scepter. And if you want to be a good support, I don't know why you'd want to be, cause you know, stealing kills is much more fun. You get things like Locket of the Iron Solari or Michael's Crucible, and a couple of good defensive items are Frozen Heart and Zonias. For boots you can either pick Ionian or Sorcerer's Shoes. Master Yees, more like Masteries. BAM! Get it? And finally, the last segment, Taunts and Skins. Her taunts are pretty shitty.
You too will be judged.
This one is maximum edge.
Not all angels are good.
Dance looks fucking retarded. Whee!
You too will be judged.
Her default skin makes her look like she has fucking anorexia. Like what the fuck, how are you even alive? The skins are all dog shit, except for Bewitched Morgana, but guess what, that one is a legacy. If you want more high quality content consistently, then you've come to the wrong place. But if you're looking for mildly adequate content every 2 weeks to 3 months, then hey, subscribe. No, seriously though, I should upload consistently, like,